Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast of What Went Wrong, a podcast where we are not going to celebrate the successful stories, but we study the failures. This is a set where professionals, leaders, and founders going to speak honestly about what didn't work, what they misunderstood, and what they wish they knew earlier. This podcast is presented by Yantriksha X Hub, and I'm your host Pavithra. So today, before getting into the podcast, let me put a disclaimer. See, this podcast is not a kind of motivational content. This podcast is for students and founders who are tired of all fake successful stories but wanted to learn the real truth behind the journey. So, today's episode is especially important. I'll tell you why. Most of the students are like heard a lot about success, the startups that succeeded, but nobody talks enough about the startups that struggled, the ideas that looked right but failed, the decisions that backfired, and the emotional cost of it all. And that's exactly why this episode exists today. So, today, our guest is a person who is not new to leadership and definitely not new to responsibilities. He spent decades across in FMCG, logistics, semiconductors, and large scale operations. But importantly for today, he's the person who built a startup, lived through the uncertainty, and faced moments where things went apart from planned. So, welcome to the podcast, sir, Mr. Bala Aghoramurthy.
Thank you, Pavithra.
So, sir, before getting into the podcast, let's set some context from you, sir. Like, with your experience in Unilever and Gati, what made you believe that, yes, I should start something of my own?
Sure. Firstly, thanks for calling me into this podcast. Yeah, really appreciate. I'm very happy to be sharing my experience. Of course, Unilever, Gati, big companies have been there all my career. A lot of good learning, big professional experience in those companies. Having said that, everyone is born with some kind of a spark within themselves, something which stays with them for a lifetime. Yeah, and it is important to give shape, to give an outlet to that spark. So it was always there in me to start something, to create something which does not exist. Of course, it could have been anything. It happened to be OxyZEN Express. So that is what got me into OxyZEN Express as a startup.
Okay, sir. Sir, with your experience and advices from your career, like from your experience in Unilever and Gati, does it helped or misleaded you in your pathway, sir?
Wow. Okay. Firstly, no experience ever misleads anyone, Pavitra. Every experience only adds to you. What Unilever taught me was deep professionalism, an organization based on systems, process, controls, etc. Of course, extensive operations. So I learned from that experience in Unilever. I learned leadership in Unilever. Thereafter in Gati, very, very intense operations. Gati is also a very entrepreneurial company. You are constantly here amidst many other entrepreneurs, in the nature of the industry is like that. So I'm saying I picked up learnings from both Unilever and Gati. Both of them form the core of myself, which helped me make my attempt at the startup OxyZEN Express. Had it not been for Unilever, had it not been for Gati, I think there would have been no OxyZEN itself. So I'm very thankful to both these companies.
Yes, sir. So, if you are starting any idea or anything, like suddenly some idea we got for startup, like how do you like decide whether you're ready for it or you can directly jump into it? Like, how do you decide between that?
So let me speak with my experience. Although I must say there are many experiences which are not fitting into my mold. Okay. I believe if you want to get into a startup, you have to know the industry inside out.
Yes.
You have to know every nuance of what happens in the marketplace. You have to know what are customers looking for. You have to know how do you organize the resources to deliver to customers what they are looking for. You have to know money. You have to know man, meaning humans, yeah, because business is about money, man, markets, etc. So it is very, very important to have an in-depth knowledge of whatever startup field you want to jump into. Only with such in-depth knowledge is your mind continuously thinking, okay, so all these things are there in the industry. What is that one thing which seems missing? Can I jump into that missing piece, find a solution around it and offer it in the industry which will deliver value? So I come from a mold where deep experience is a very, very important thing for doing a startup. Okay. Having said that, it is possible you don't have the experience, Pavitra. Okay. It's possible that you don't have it, but you have an interest. Now, if you don't have direct experience, but you have a deep interest, then the least that you should be doing is to research that industry for an extended period of time. It is not just about reading one article on the net here and one article there. It is about spending soulful time. It could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, it could be 1 year of deep research. Not just reading, you have to go out there in the market to speak to people who are already operating, whether it is customers, whether it is, I'm saying, bankers, whether it is vendors, and so on. You speak to people and gain knowledge, even though you don't have first-hand experience, right? So either you gain experience and do a startup, or you do deep research and do a startup. A third, of course, you belong to a newer generation. A third mold is, okay, I have an idea, I'm going to jump into it directly without experience, without the research knowledge, etc. In such case, you should be ready to be learning spontaneously, continuously as you start the startup. I'm saying, so the learning part has to either happen before or it has to happen on the job. It is not about jumping into an idea. It is about being prepared. Entrepreneurship needs a lot of preparation, commitment, and so on.
Okay. So, like, what's the central idea does Oxygen Express like aim to solve?
Okay. So, firstly, you are familiar with courier companies, right? There are Blue Dart and many other companies. So, which what do? They actually, as consumers, we know them as companies which pick up document couriers and deliver document couriers. But there is another side to those companies. They do a B2B big cargo courier. So they would actually pick up from factories and warehouses, 100 kilos or 1,000 kilos, so a ton of material, etc. And it could be in any industry. For example, a garment company might be having all their inventory in one warehouse from where they distribute across the country. A auto company might actually be sourcing their spares from one location everywhere. These are small movements which happen in 100 kilos, 500 kilos, 1 ton, etc. How do they go? Companies, whether it is Blue Dart, Gati, Delivery, a lot of these companies, Safe Express, these companies actually pick the material from the warehouse and or the factory and deliver it to the warehouse or the factory wherever it is to be delivered. This is called B2B, express logistics industry. So OxyZEN was meant to be operating in the same B2B express logistics industry, except that we came out with gaps which exist within the industry. Okay. I'm just going to give you examples of one or two gaps. There is a lot of expectation of customers which does not get met that easily in the way that the industry is organized today. So quality of service. How can you improve quality of service using new age tech? Yeah. At the point of pickup, at the point of delivery, etc. Using new age tech, can you improve quality of service? A second very important part of the industry is in delivering such service, Pavitra, all these companies will have a network, extensive pan-India network. So there will be warehouses across the country. There will be trucks which are moving between these warehouses across the country. So there is a pan-India network of warehouses called hubs. There is a pan-India network of trucks which are moving. I found an opportunity to improve the operations efficiency of this network. It's a very, very large network spread out across the country. I thought if you can use tech to automate decisions of this network operation, you can then unlock near 8 to 10% gross margin, which is a big deal. Very, very big deal. Yeah, in the P&L of the company, if you unlock 8 to 10% using tech automation. So the concept of OxyZEN was to provide a service which is already being provided by many companies, but to use new age tech to improve the operations efficiency and unlock profit margin, at the same time improve the customer experience. This was the space of OxyZEN. That is how we started, Pavithra.
Okay. So you said most of the customers' expectations are not met. So what do you think, like what do you say for the young innovators, like what they can do to like
Okay. I'll tell you. I'm assuming I'm hearing your question right. Yeah, sure.
sir, you said like customers' expectations are not met. So what do you think, like what you can tell like for young innovators? So let me skip this question, sir. So like while starting an idea, we have many assumptions. The assumptions will be both good or bad. So what are the assumptions you had at that time that were correct?
That were correct. Okay. That customers are looking for better quality of service was an assumption that I made. There is no denying that assumption was correct. That network operations can be automated. The decisions around the network operations can be automated. And by automating these decisions, you can save a lot of money within the company's P&L. This assumption was correct. Yeah. So I'm saying that was the core thesis for starting OxyZEN because of these assumptions.
Okay, sir. So like the customers' expectations are not met, as you said, sir. So like, what do you think the young innovators can work on it to satisfy it, sir?
Okay. So as an as a young innovator, as an entrepreneur, the most important thing to understand is that the market is a ruthless place. Okay, it is a ruthless place. Any person who comes in new into the market, the first response of the market is to beat down the innovation. Meaning, the other competitors, if they exist, I'm assuming they exist, they will first say, what's there in this innovation? There is nothing. So they are trying to beat down the innovation as though it is nothing, right? The customers, they might also trivialize this innovation. They will say, so what's the benefit for us? Okay, your network efficiency improves. What's the benefit for us? Yeah. The point I'm trying to make, market's first reaction to an innovation will be to beat it down because the existing players don't want to let you have an easy path in the market. They want you to really struggle to prove yourself, right? As a young innovator, you must be first prepared. You might think you have a great innovation, but when it is put to the test of market, the market behavior is the mirror image that you have to face about your innovation. You should have the capacity to stay through all of these attacks, to believe in yourself, to believe in your innovation, and still come out as a winner in the market.
Yes. Sir, in your experience, definitely you would have faced the same, right, sir? At some point, you would have felt like, okay, things are getting harder than I expected. So, at what point did you felt like that, sir?
Okay, so let me give you the most honest answer, Pavitra. As an entrepreneur, as an innovator, every minute you will feel challenged. It is not an easy cakewalk. I know a lot of people kind of make it fanciful to say that, okay, I am an entrepreneur, I'm an innovator. it looks from the outside, wow, they are having a very easy life. I'm telling you, take any company that you are familiar with in the new age, yeah, whether it is Zomato, Swiggy, etc. You can be 100% sure those entrepreneurs have really slogged, worked hard every day. They would have been challenged day after day. Every day there would have been doubt whether we survive, etc. But it is their grit which they have stayed through to finally prove to the market that they are big daddies in their field. So it is a daily challenge. There is no doubt about it.
So as you said, when it comes to like self-doubting and all, like there will be some situations where things won't work out, right? So it's like every one of us feel like like every one of us will like we'll self-doubt ourselves, right, sir? So how do you manage to survive that self-doubting, sir?
It's a very difficult question. Let me tell you. Firstly, whether it is leadership, whether it is entrepreneurship, in some ways, it is a lonely journey in your mind. Please remember this. Yeah. It is a lonely journey in your mind. You are trying to do what no one else has done. When you walk that path, you will be feeling alone many a times. When you are alone, it is natural to start getting into doubt whether I am doing the right thing or not. Right? It calls for, Pavithra, enormous courage. It calls for enormous courage, enormous conviction, belief in your idea, belief in your idea to stay the path and get to the other side. I'm going to add one very opposite thought also in this. Yeah. The courage is not only about staying and succeeding in your venture. The courage is also to be able to face failure itself. That is the level of courage you need in order to walk down this path. It is not an easy path to walk. Yeah.
Sir, like there might be some ideas like which will be like emotionally get attached to and we'll be sticking it to it even know the like even knowing what all the consequences it may lead to. So like what was the most emotional like moment for you in your career?
You're asking lots of tricky questions, Pavitra. Okay. So let me try to address that. Firstly, as a young student who is thinking about it, all you need is great courage. Yeah. But when you get older, I'm now talking about slightly older breed of entrepreneurs. Remember, at that time, you have a family, you have other responsibilities, etc. There, entrepreneurship, while it is a solo journey in your mind, remember the rest of your family is also having to face what you are going through, right? So, my very deep advice to people who are looking at entrepreneurship in their middle age, I'm talking about 35 plus, yeah? Till 35, you are all very young, okay? Till 35, I'm saying go at it with full gusto. After 35, if you are getting into it, be very prepared yourself, prepare your family as well, yeah? That this is not an easy path to walk. Make sure that that kind of support system you have created in walking down this path. Otherwise, I have equally known people when, because from outside we hear only good stories, right? We hear only great stories, success stories, everyone is happy to speak about. Trust me, for every success, there must be at least 100 plus, which kind of don't go the right way. In such situation, you need the family to be with you. You need the ecosystem to be kind of supporting you and so on. I have been very fortunate and kind in that sense. So I'm saying this is the part that possibly is the most difficult part. You must take care of it for sure in your planning, in your preparation, without any doubt.
Okay, sir. Sir, like we spoke about like family and all, no, sir. So, like, in what kind of situation we can trust our gut feeling or into like trust the practical solutions, sir?
Gut is a very important thing for an entrepreneur. Instinct is a very important thing for an entrepreneur. Yeah. Without instinct, without gut, you cannot venture in at all. But that is not the be all and end all. Beyond the gut has to be supported by proper preparation, proper understanding, proper research, experience. I'll give you an example. Let us say a fresh college graduate starts off a professional career in a company, whichever industry. It can be any industry, okay? Meaning it can be a tech company, it can be a FMCG company, it can be any company. As you work through, usually I have seen a lot of people are, this is my job, I am doing my job, full stop. என் வேலை நான் பார்த்துட்டு இருக்கேன், full stop. They don't learn enough about the business beyond their immediate work. You have to invest to learn 360 degrees about the business. When you invest in this 360-degree learning, you will keep thinking. You're, of course, continuously thinking about this whole thing in your mind, right? You keep thinking. As you think deeper and deeper, you will spot that one single thing which you believe is a white space that has not been addressed in the industry. And that is when you make the conviction to go after it, but with proper preparation. You really have to go in with full preparation. It is not just about gut. I have an idea, let me jump into it. Idea has to be kind of supported with all full preparation in that sense.
Sir, if a person wanted to like earn from from a multiple business, so what's the correct time like he or she can jump into another business, sir?
Okay. So let me say it this way. Usually, it is best for startups to be focused on one core idea. Yeah. Meaning there is full energy, investment, effort into making that core idea work. When that has taken proper root and it has become a viable business, you have created an organization of people, systems, process, control, etc. Thereafter, you might have the confidence, aha, I have got this part of my business right. There is another ancillary business, whether forward or backward, yeah, whichever, meaning people talk forward integration, backward integration, etc., right? An ancillary business which is still kind of connected, related to this, you can expand and step into that. But it is not good to keep jumping from one theme to another without forming your core first. Yeah. So the core has to be formed. Thereafter, you expand in a logical manner by going into one other thing and then into another. And you have to time all these well. And each of them is again a separate entrepreneurial effort. So the same intensity, same investment, same effort has to go in.
Okay, sir, from your career and from your experience, what do you think the young founders most often, most easily get misunderstood about?
The first thing is the younger founders actually think entrepreneurship is glamorous. Yeah. When I say glamorous, meaning I'm saying there is a lot of attention to it, startup, media, those kinds of things. I think they are all distractions at best. people must keep their focus on what they want to deliver in the market and build the organization for that, the tools for that, the resources for that. They should not get misled by the hype around startups, or I'm saying the attention around startups. They must keep their heads down and work solely on the idea that they passionately believe they want to bring to the market.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Sir, then when when problems get into your way, like you could detect it at the earliest, or you could notice it only when it made some sense in the hindsight.
Sorry, can you repeat it again, Pavithra?
Sir, like when problems getting into your way, you could detect it at the earliest stage itself, or you could notice only it made some sense in the hindsight.
Okay. No, so like I said before, firstly, every day feels like a problem day. It is not like you are sailing through a startup experience. Every day you will be thrown new challenges or some continuing challenges and so on. It is very, very important for your antenna to be up at all times. The best problem is the one that you have solved even before you let it show itself up. For that, your antenna about your business, about your startup, about your idea, etc., needs to be really, really up so that you are kind of taking care of the problem even before it becomes big. Having said that, problems don't show up for you to solve them. Problems show up to really test you. Yeah. And it can be the most brutal test. You have to be able to assess the size of the problem, the impact of the problem. Is it that I sort out with little bit of money? Is it that I sort out with more people hiring? Is it that I sort out with some other kind of a vendor partnership? You have to be clear about these aspects. If it is a solvable problem, solve it at the earliest. Do not postpone problems in startup because it will then go out of your control for sure.
Yes. Okay, sir. Sir, if suddenly we get into a problem, means like how to like decide whether we can alter it or we can modify it and further continue it, or like how to decide whether to drop it or just alter it, because some signs we can feel some signs in between, right? So if we get into a problem, we'll feel like, oh, it's not a good sign, like that we'll get into it. So like how do you think like we can alter it or just stop at the starting itself?
So let me give you an OxyZEN example. Okay. So when you are building a business like logistics, network logistics span India, how much do you charge the customer? What kind of customer do you go to in the beginning? How do you keep changing your customer base? All these are important questions. Okay. In the beginning, we went to easily acquirable customers, but they come at lower price. So your revenue is lower, your cost is higher. Okay. Now you are willingly walking into that space with an idea that I will quickly, once I get my basic customer base, I will then go to the next bigger customers, the SME customers, the enterprise customers. I will tell them, look, I have so much business happening, so much load moving, etc. You you start pitching yourself in a different way. In doing so, Pavitra, in doing so, you are willy-nilly moving that problem. You're moving that problem in a manner where timely movement happens and you keep control of the business. So it is best to kind of understand the problem in the beginning itself, to put the countermeasures that are required at the earliest. Yeah. You should never wish away a problem. No problem will go away by itself. The entrepreneur, the innovator has to do what needs to be done for the problem to be removed. It will not go away by itself.
Okay, sir. So, like, did at any point your failure made you change the way you look at yourself as a leader?
As a person, as a
A leader, yes.
okay. So failure is the biggest test of character. Okay. I'm just saying success is not a success if you have lost your humility. Failure is not a failure if you keep your dignity. If you are clear in your mind that, okay, so I tried, I didn't pull this through, okay, but you carry the pride and dignity about your intense effort, then you almost don't call it a failure. Okay, so just understand it in the correct manner. I hope I'm making sense. Why I'm saying these words, success and failure, Pavithra, scare people. People, I told you in the beginning, right? There is a spark in every person.
Yes.
Most people don't even realize what is their spark. Yeah. So they kind of extinguish it even before converting it into a fire or a flame or whatever you want to call it. The few people who recognize their own spark because of the way you have been brought up, social conditioning, parents telling, teachers telling, society telling, friends telling, etc. You are afraid of failure. Why are you afraid of failure? Because someone has called something as a success, someone has called something as a failure. It is very important as an innovator, entrepreneur, etc., to be away from fear of failure. If you are afraid of failure, you don't want to get into that path at all. The best way to walk through it is, I am going to do my most intense effort. I am hoping it kind of converts as a positive story. Then, of course, all celebration, everyone celebrates you. But by any chance, if it goes the other way, I still accept it and I will try once again. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'll try once again. So that's the way to deal with failure. Otherwise, these words can be very scary to most people. I personally think failure is not a failure if you have kept your dignity in your own mind. I'm saying your own mind.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Some mistakes will be there, sir. They look smart during the young age and all. Like during college days, those mistakes look smarter, but they end up entirely dangerous in the real world. So, what do you think in startups those mistakes are?
See, when you are young, that's the time when you can take the maximum risk in your life. Remember, you have an entire lifetime ahead of you. Yeah, if you don't take the risk now, when do you take, right? At that time, do not worry about money. A lot of people think, I want to do a startup because I want money. Yeah. I'm saying you do a startup for the joy of creating something. I hope I'm saying it correctly. You do a startup for the joy of creating what does not exist. You don't create a startup to earn money. That money will come when the creation takes root and everything else. Yeah. If you say, I want to earn money, there are 1,000 ways of earning money. But the act of getting into a startup is not to be done thinking I want to earn money. It has to be done for the joy of creation. I'm going to speak a little more around this. Yeah.
Sure.
Now, when you create something that does not exist, it is an act of God. Understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
When you create what does not exist, it is an act of God. An artist will paint a picture that does not exist. It is an act of God. A music composer composes music which does not exist. It is an act of God. Yeah. Here, ownership is not coming into the picture. The painter is not thinking, I want to own my painting. He wants to sell it, right? The composer is not thinking, I want to own my music. They want to kind of sell it, right? So it is not the ownership. It is the joy of creating what does not exist. The entrepreneur is the photocopy. What are you creating? You are creating an enterprise which does not exist. You must create it for the joy of creating that enterprise that does not exist, to solve a problem which has not been solved by anyone else before. When you do it the right way, it will take its root and it will kind of give you the returns in terms of monetary gain and everything else. But if you start at the other end thinking, I want to do a startup because I want to earn money, then you are looking for livelihood. You are not looking to do a startup. Yeah. So it is very important to understand this in the right perspective.
Yes. So basically in startup, founder failure is not completely professional, right, sir? It's personal too. So what do you think about it?
Actually, there are cultures, Pavitra, where it is not as personal as it is in India. In India, it is personal. Ah, this guy or this girl, this lady has failed, right? It is personal. But in most cultures which have gone through a little more capitalist way of building their economy, there people try the essence of capitalism is actually destructive creation. Meaning somebody has created an empire, a very good organization, but there is something amiss in that. Someone else comes by and says, that small gap that this person left, I will fill. And thus I create my empire, this empire dies, right? So the core of capitalism itself is destructive creativity, right? Now, the the culture of holding the entrepreneur personally to failure is a little more in India, because I think we are in the starting point of that journey. Of course, I'm saying entrepreneurship has always been there for 1,000 years. It's not like it is new or something. But our culture, because of the way the country evolved, the economics involved, people's, I'm saying, well-being evolved, etc. People have generally in the past, 20 years back, 30 years back, looked for stable earning stuff. It is only the younger generation, I'm saying you and everyone else in your generation, etc., are so much more open to embracing entrepreneurship. I don't think there is anything personal about failure. I think there is everything professional about the whole thing. You should just celebrate the spirit of people who go after it. So that's what I would say.
Okay. So normally it's been like a routine, like once after graduation, like going to placements and all. So what do you think about it? Is it okay to have like go for a startup at the earliest, or gain some experience through jobs and then start a business?
I would really go the second part of what you said. Like I said earlier on, startup, etc., you really need to know in-depth knowledge of the industry that you wish to operate in. How do you get that in-depth knowledge? Only by either working in the industry yourself through apprenticeship in the I'm saying when you work in a company, just make sure that you don't just do your job. You should learn more and more and more about 360 degrees about that business. If you do that for 3 years, 5 years, you will have a fairly good understanding about the industry. You will know how organizations are set up. You will understand what are the levers of that business, meaning if I do this, my cost comes down. If I do that, my revenue goes up, etc. So you will be able to kind of better appreciate the way you want to set your own venture in the real world. Yeah. So it is good to go through an experience 3 to 5 years. Uh, the only watch out in that, Pavitra, is a lot of people, when they go through that experience 3 to 5 years, you are getting a salary, monthly salary, etc. Life is set. You then give up your dream. That is a tragedy. That is a tragedy. The spark that you have discovered in yourself, it is your responsibility to protect that spark, to convert it into a flame, hopefully over a period of time to light a forest fire. Yeah, it is your responsibility. So by joining, you gain one thing, but there is this risk of getting complacent and forgetting your dream. As long as you're alive to the fact that I will not let my core spark die, I will only learn here, and thereafter I will go to do what I want to do in my life. I think it is the best thing to do.
Yes. So
There are other people who, sorry, I'm just to
no,
continue.
sorry,
There are other people who will start saying, I will do something in 3 years' time in this industry.
yes.
Then that 3 years becomes 5 years. Then the 5 years becomes 10 years. So they'll keep postponing. Yeah. I'm saying if there is something in your mind, do not give it up for fear of failure. Do not give it up for fear of failure. It is more worthy. You would have lived a fuller life having tried it and made it succeed. Or it doesn't matter even if it didn't go the right way. At least you would have lived a fuller life. If you actually gave it up for fear of failure, you would have lived a half life. You will regret it when you are 60 and 70 and 80, or not now.
Yes, sir. Sir, so what was the decision that you made that hurted your startup the most?
My
Your
mini oxygen decision. So, what I set foot into is actually a very, very capital intensive industry. It's a very capital intensive industry. I knew even before I started, I needed 150 crores of equity and 100 crores of debt to pull this through in the way, because we were thinking big. We didn't think small. Excuse me. We didn't think small. We said we will set up a pan-India logistics company which will challenge all the existing players. We said we will set up 1,000 crore tech logistics company using 150 crores of equity, 100 crores of debt, etc. Knowing that I know I need this 250 crores of money, we started. We actually got the timing slightly wrong, Pavithra. We got the timing slightly wrong. In 2020, 2021, the investment from private equity players, VC funds, etc., was at its peak into logistics. So 2020, 2021 were peak investment, logistics investment periods. We actually entered at the end of this period. So OxyZEN was born in 2021 September. Our business operation started in January 2022. By this time, and I'm not sure whether you will be familiar, there was a funding winter, meaning people stopped pumping money into the startup ecosystem. It was called the funding winter. And in general, there was a logistics fatigue because a lot of money had already been invested into various logistics companies and the returns were not yet coming through. As a result, investors said, look, maybe we should kind of wait and watch and not jump into it. And by that time, AI took off like a rocket. Yeah, AI took off like a rocket, and everyone wanted to invest only into AI tech ventures. Yeah, which is fair. So we got the investment cycle a little wrong in terms of the entry timing. Now, having got that wrong, uh, we decided that we will actually put in a lot of the investment ourselves and from friends and families, etc. It was, instead of getting one lump sum investment to come in to give root to the company, we were doing what I call as drip irrigation of capital. Okay. So every time, every 3, 4, 5 months, when we needed capital, we would actually raise that 3, 4, 5 months equivalent of capital. So we were continuously raising incremental capital, and I'm just using the word drip irrigation. This model was fraught with risks. Okay. We pulled it through for almost 2.5, 3 years. We scaled up the company. But finally, I'm saying the capital inadequacy caught up with us. And we, of course, then went through a cash flow squeeze and the whole thing came to a grinding halt. Okay. So I'm saying what decision went wrong? It was, what do you say? Not ignorance. It was hope. It was committed hard work. Yeah, the hope backed by committed hard work. We thought we will raise capital. But finally, because of various things, whether external, internal, etc., meaning funding winter and logistics fatigue and so on, that capital we could not raise on time and so on. So that's the story of OxyZEN.
Okay. So if you are about to start Oxygen Express today, what's the thing you do differently?
Wow, I would love to start again for sure. Uh, Firstly, I would convince investors about the depth of the idea. I would secure capital because this is not small capital business. This is large capital. Okay. I'm saying if what it needed was only small capital, then it is all right to take the risk in the way that we took the first time. But having gone through it now, I would be wanting to secure sufficient capital, if not the entire amount. No one gives you the entire amount. Definitely, I'm saying 30%, 40%, 50% you should secure in the beginning. So I would definitely do that if I were to do it again.
Okay. So once when you're in the middle of the capital, half of the capital, and things didn't work as planned. So how do you manage to motivate yourself and also your co-founders?
Yeah. No, this is a very interesting question. See, I told you in startups, every day is a challenge. There is no doubt. And the challenge, I'm saying, if it was only you and yourself, you can deal with it if you're a strong person. But unfortunately, no startup can be done by a single person. Usually, it is always a team. One is co-founders, and I'm saying we actually had 250 people on the roles in the company as well. Okay, so you have to be very, very sensitive, very responsible to the rest of the team to keep them up. Of course, I'm saying it takes a lot of effort, yeah, to kind of keep giving hope to people. And I'm saying this is not just OxyZEN story. Yeah, even the successful companies which kind of survived. I vaguely remember one of the big ones. I don't want to name the company. They actually said they had 7 near-death experiences. Okay, and this is now a very large 10,000 crore company in the country. Okay, so I'm just giving an example. So I'm saying the startup experience always tests you day after day. You have to do everything possible to make the team around you feel the hope and the confidence, and it should not be faked. It should be very, very authentic and real. Yeah, meaning if you just lie to people saying that, look, don't worry, everything will be all right, people will catch you in no time. So it has to be a very, very authentic way of taking your team along with you in the journey. And of course, I'm saying if things work out well, it will happen good.
So what the what's the one thing you will never repeat it again, sir?
Never repeat it again.
Yeah, sir. So in continuation with that question.
You'll never repeat it again. No. So capital starvation is a death blow. It's a death blow. It is a mortal blow on yourself. Okay. It is not entirely in your hands. It's not like you did anything that the capital didn't come by. You tried your best, still the capital didn't come by. So I don't think it answers your question directly, but in our case, it was clearly a capital space. Uh, you will not repeat it. I'm saying the drip irrigation model in a capital intensive startup, you should not repeat. You should secure sufficient capital for you to be able to pull through the company.
Okay. Sir, the thing which you will continue to pursue, sir. Like
Continue to
if
pursue.
you start again today.
Right. Actually, one thing that we did outstandingly well in OxyZEN, we never behaved with the staff as though the founders are a separate breed and the staff is a separate breed. We had 250 people on the rolls. Every person in OxyZEN was only made to believe it is their company, right? I'm saying, I think, had it not been for the people, we probably would never have pulled through 2.5, 3 years. Okay. So it is very, very important to make the entire team feel it is their pride, it is their company, it is their success story. If you say, I will keep all the success to myself and not let the other people share it, that would be a very unfair thing to do. In OxyZEN, I think we did that. That part of it, we did it in the correct way, where all 250 of us, we were equal claimants to the success, if at all it happened, of OxyZEN, all 250 of us. And I would do that again and again. Business is finally, Pavithra, about people. Yeah, you don't do business in a vacuum. Business is about people. So people have to be given their due.
Yes. So, like now I'll give you one situation, sir. Like, there was a version of you that existed all before the startups, before all these pressures and all. So, if you're about to, like, if you're sitting with that version of yourself today, like, what's the one thing you will warn him not to do?
Okay, if I'm sitting with Bala before OxyZEN,
Yes.
what I would caution that avatar not to do. Firstly, I hope, I hope people around me see it like that. I think I was the same person before, and I am the same person now. I hope. Uh, I'm saying, if if the human aspect of a person changes because of making an effort to pursue your dream, then the dream is not worth it.
When you're sitting with your like earlier version of yourself, so what's the one thing you'll guide him and ask like ask him to go ahead with the flow, even knowing how pain it would be?
Around 25 years back, he wrote a short poem, Vaisa. I don't remember the full thing, but use one or two lines and we'll say it. They'll speak around us. Yes. It went like this. Oh, what? Spare me the small success that traps me in more desire. Grant me a fabulous failure that sets me forever free. It's a board lines, okay. I don't know what triggered me to write these lines 25 years back. Like all young people, I also had a fantastic career, etc. Lot of successes came my way. Something told me then that the small success, the string of small successes is good to have, but you need to experience life in a bigger way. And I wrote these lines. Okay. I don't know if God answered that prayer of a fabulous failure in the form of OxyZEN. Yeah. But I would tell you one thing. The experience of OxyZEN. So you're talking about Bala before, Bala after, right? The experience of OxyZEN has removed the last traces of ego, of fear, of shame. These are things which hold back a human. Okay. So when you are experiencing only success, you are afraid it will go away. If the next experience is not success, you are ashamed. So fear, shame, etc. Right? But having now gone through OxyZEN, I feel I'm an absolutely free person to try even more gold things, to try maybe get another
yet another startup experience because you have removed these fears, shame in a very solid manner. So that's, I don't know if it answers your question,
Yes, sir.
but that is what it is.
Okay. So from the student context, students nowadays are those are more passionate about startups and who are right into guided by a right mentoring. So, what are all the pros and cons they would be facing in the startups? I mean, back then, networking was not that much strong. So, even though taking many years, people learned and they succeeded in the startups. So now, nowadays, we have right mentoring, we have person to guide us, everything we have. So, what are the pros and cons we'll face?
No, you are absolutely right. Today's generation, first of all, it is smarter, yeah, than let's say older breed. It is more network. It has a higher degree of exposure. And I'm saying colleges, well tech, you all make the effort to expose students earlier. Okay. So these are fantastic advantages with this current generation. You should kind of build on this foundation of advantages. Prepare yourself in whatever base it takes and fearlessly, in a very free state of mind, go to conquer the world. Yeah. I'm saying this generation is blessed in that manner because the resources are there, everything is there. The only thing which sometimes I would worry about, I hope that people don't shrink themselves back under societal pressure and social pressure and so on. If you are able to set all of that beside behind you and look ahead to what you want to do, then it will be an outstanding future for the MTEL.
Yes, sir. So, right now, if you want to give one word, one motivation for the young founders struggling right now, whether to continue their idea or stop their idea, what's the one motivation you would give them, sir?
Oh, should immerse yourself fully into it. Should immerse yourself fully into it. If anything, I'm saying if you have an idea, don't stop at that idea. Dig deeper to make it a plan. Yeah. So go at it with full mind, heart, and soul. Go at it with full mind, heart, and soul. Prepare completely. Do not leave it to chance. Do not get distracted by hype and everything else. Uh, Go as though it is your life's purpose that you are wanting to live. 100%, 100% people who go at it with fullness at such a young age, 100% it will work. I'm saying in the immediate short term, in the medium term, you will face the kind of success that each of you want to see is the way I see. Possible, all cool.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your honest answers for all my questions and your patience for all my questions, sir. Actually, it reminded us that failure is not opposite of success. It's just part of process that filters the clarity. So everyone listening to this podcast, like don't just ask how to succeed, just ask how can it go wrong, what are the ways it can go wrong before actually it does. So this is the podcast presented by Yantriksha X Hub and I'm your host Pavithra. So see you again in the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.